1998, Manchester, New Hampshire. An old man named Richard McDonald is watching television. On the screen, a McDonald's commercial. His name is on every sign. His system runs every kitchen. His invention feeds 69 million people every single day. He has no stake in any of it. Ray Kroc, the man who took what the McDonald brothers built, died in 1984 worth approximately $600 million. Richard McDonald received $1 million, one time, in 1961, for the most valuable food service system in the history of human civilization. The McDonald brothers didn't just invent a restaurant, they invented the operational logic of the entire modern fast food industry. The assembly line kitchen, the limited menu, the division of labor, the standardized portion, the paper packaging, the speed. Before the McDonald brothers, before their speedy service system in 1948, there was no such thing as fast food. And, in the pattern that runs through every story in this series, the inventors would end up wishing, at least sometimes, that none of it had gotten quite so big. The idea, once again, escaped the people who had it. Let's go back to the beginning. By the end of this video, you are going to understand why every fast food restaurant on Earth looks the way it looks, works the way it works, and costs what it costs. You're going to understand the 1% royalty clause that the McDonald brothers signed away without realizing what it meant. And you're going to understand why the speed of fast food, the 50-second window from order to food, has measurably changed how your brain handles waiting. Not metaphorically, neurologically. Let's go. Richard James McDonald, born February 26, 1909. Maurice James McDonald, born November 26, 1902. Manchester, New Hampshire, a mill city, textile factories, shoe factories, industrial labor, the kind of city that produced workers, not entrepreneurs. Their father pressed suits at a factory. The brothers watched him work for someone else his entire life, and they decided they were going to do something different. 1926. Richard follows his older brother Maurice to California. They're heading to Hollywood, not to act, but to work. They get jobs as set hands at a movie studio, moving equipment and props. But they're watching California, and California in the late 1920s is the most interesting commercial laboratory in America. Car culture, drive-in theaters, outdoor restaurants, a new American consumer culture being invented in real time. California in the late 1920s and 30s is inventing the drive-in movie theaters, drive-in restaurants, where car hops on roller skates bring food to your window. The specific combination of sunshine, automobiles, and American disposable income is creating something brand new. The brothers are watching all of it, taking notes, thinking about what's working and what isn't. In 1937, the brothers open a small hot dog stand near the Monrovia, California airport, the Airdrome. No seating, just a stand. Cars pull up, customers order, customers drive away. It does well. They observe, they learn. They watch what customers order most, what slows service, what causes parking lot congestion. They're engineers by instinct, constantly hunting for inefficiencies to eliminate. In 1940, they moved to San Bernardino, on Route 66, the main artery connecting Chicago to Los Angeles. They build a proper drive-in with car hops, a full menu, 12 different items. It does very well. By 1948, it's one of the most successful restaurants in the Inland Empire. They're making good money. They should be satisfied. They're not satisfied. The car hops are a problem. Teenage girls on roller skates are charming, but they're slow, they make errors, and they attract a teenage crowd that drives away the families the brothers actually want. The menu is a problem. 25 items means 25 ingredient categories, means a kitchen that can never find its rhythm. The dishes are a problem. Ceramic plates require washing. Washing requires staff. The wash station is a constant bottleneck. December 1948. The brothers close the drive-in. They fire the car hops. They take 3 months to redesign everything from scratch. What they invent during those 3 months is the Speedy Service System. And the Speedy Service System is not a menu. It is not a building. It is the application of Henry Ford's assembly line logic, for the first time in history, to food preparation. The brothers designed the kitchen on a tennis court using paper cutouts. Every station mapped, every movement measured, every inefficiency eliminated before the first nail is driven. This is how all great systems are built, not by adding things, but by removing them, one by one, until what's left is only what's necessary. They don't know they're designing the modern world. They think they're designing a better burger stand. Before I continue, I need to ask you something specific. Think about your relationship with McDonald's personally, the specific one near where you grew up, the smell, the Happy Meal toy you remember, the specific item you always ordered, or the specific reason you don't eat there. Drop it in the comments, because whether this story is a triumph or a tragedy depends entirely on what lens you bring to it, and I want to know your lens. Here is what the McDonald brothers change. The menu, 25 items becomes 9. Hamburger, cheeseburger, soft drinks, milk, coffee, potato chips, pie. That's it. This is the single most counterintuitive decision they make. Every operator in the restaurant business knows more items equals more customers. The brothers look at their data and realize more items equals more chaos. The kitchen is designed as a pure assembly line. Station 1, the grill. Station 2, bun preparation. Station 3, condiments. Ketchup, mustard, onions, applied in a standard pattern, no exceptions. Station 4, the wrapping. No deviation, no customization. The same burger made the same way in the same sequence every single time. The skill is in the system design, not in the worker executing it. The ceramic plates and metal utensils are replaced by paper bags, paper cups, paper wrappers. No washing, no breakage, no staffing the dish station. This single decision, eliminating the dishwasher, eliminates one of the most expensive and time-consuming bottlenecks in the restaurant industry. It also creates an entirely new category of commercial waste that nobody in 1948 is thinking about yet. The hamburger stays at 15 cents, same as before, but the efficiency of the new system drops the cost to produce it dramatically. Margin improves. Volume increases because the price point attracts families who couldn't previously afford to eat out. And here is the insight. At 15 cents per hamburger, you don't need high margins, you need volume. And the Speedy Service System produces volume that no restaurant in America can match. The Speedy Service System opens in December of 1948. The first few weeks are rocky. The no car hop concept confuses regular customers. People don't understand that they have to get out of their cars and walk to the counter. But within months, the volume and speed make it a sensation. By 1951, the San Bernardino McDonald's is the highest-grossing fast food operation in California. Trade publications write about it. Other restaurant operators drive to San Bernardino from across California and from other states. They stand in that parking lot and watch the operation for hours. They try to copy it. Most of them fail, because the system looks simple from the outside, but requires a complete rethinking of how you hire, train, supply, and manage a kitchen. It is genuinely harder to copy than it appears. The brothers create a mascot for the new system, a cartoon chef named Speedy, a little man with a hamburger for a head, always in motion, winking. Speedy appears on their signage and promotional materials from 1948 through the mid-1960s. He predates Ronald McDonald by 15 years. Most people have never heard of him. He disappears completely from the brand after Ray Kroc takes control. By 1953, the San Bernardino McDonald's averages 50 seconds from order placement to food in hand. 50 seconds. The previous industry standard was 8 to 12 minutes at a diner, 4 to 6 minutes at a fast drive-in. The McDonald brothers have compressed the American restaurant experience by 90%. That compression has consequences they are not yet aware of. By 1952, the McDonald brothers are famous in the food service industry. American Restaurant Magazine runs a feature. Operators Magazine covers the speedy service system. Architectural Record covers the building design. They're receiving hundreds of letters from restaurant operators wanting to know how to replicate what they've done. The brothers answer some. They start selling a franchise package, blueprints, operating manual, the speedy system specs for $1,000. In 1954, a 52-year-old milkshake machine salesman from Chicago named Ray Kroc receives an order for 8 multi-mixer milkshake machines from a small burger stand in San Bernardino, California. Most restaurants order 1. High-volume operations order 2. 8 multi-mixers means 40 simultaneous milkshakes. Kroc stares at the order form. He needs to see this. Kroc drives to San Bernardino in July of 1954. He arrives during the lunch rush. What he sees changes his life. The parking lot is full. The line at the walk-up counter is long, but it's moving. Customers step up, order, receive their food, and step away in approximately 50 seconds. Feeding 4 people for under $1. Kroc stands in that parking lot and watches for hours. That evening, Kroc has dinner with Richard and Maurice McDonald. He tells them what he's been thinking all day. You need to franchise this nationally. Same menu, same kitchen, same quality from California to Chicago to New York. The brothers look at each other. They've heard this before. They've tried franchising. It failed. They're comfortable. They say they'll think about it. Kroc says he'll be their franchise agent. He proposes 1.4% of gross sales. The McDonald brothers agree. Kroc opens his first McDonald's franchise in Des Plaines, Illinois, on April 15, 1955. He opens more. By 1958, he has 34 locations. By 1959, he has 100. But there's a problem. At 1.4% of gross sales, Kroc cannot make enough money to build the infrastructure the system requires. He asks the brothers to renegotiate. They decline. And this is where the story takes the turn that defines everything. April 15, 1955, Des Plaines, Illinois. Kroc's first franchise location opens. He has designed everything to precisely match the San Bernardino specifications. Same menu, same kitchen layout, same building design. Same 15-cent hamburger. The speedy service system transplanted from California desert to Illinois suburb. It works immediately. The parking lot fills on opening day. Kroc hires a financial consultant named Harry Sonneborn. And Sonneborn tells him something that changes the entire nature of what he's building. Stop thinking of yourself as a restaurant operator. Start thinking of yourself as a real estate company. McDonald's doesn't make its real money selling hamburgers. McDonald's makes its money owning the land and buildings the franchise operators run, and charging them rent. McDonald's establishes its real estate subsidiary in 1956. Today, McDonald's is one of the largest real estate holders in the world. The company owns or controls approximately 55% of the land and 80% of the buildings its restaurants operate in. The hamburger revenue funds the growth. The real estate revenue builds the balance sheet. The hamburger is how they fill the building. The building is how they make the money. Meanwhile, the McDonald brothers are comfortable. $100,000 a year from the San Bernardino operation, plus their cut of franchise fees. They live modestly. They don't want yachts or mansions. They want a good life in Southern California. And this contentment, this genuine, earned, reasonable contentment, is precisely the posture that makes everything that happens next possible. When Kroc buys the brothers out in 1961 for $2.7 million, the original agreement included a clause. The McDonald brothers retain a 1% royalty on all future McDonald's sales, forever. Kroc's lawyers remove this clause in the final negotiation. The brothers sign without it. 1% of McDonald's annual gross revenue today would be approximately $230 million per year, forever. There is one more detail. Kroc verbally promised the brothers they could keep their original San Bernardino restaurant as a gesture of respect. He honored that promise, technically. Then he opened a new McDonald's franchise 1 block away. The brothers were driven out of business within a year. Richard McDonald renamed his restaurant The Big M. It closed shortly after. Ray Kroc said he did it deliberately. While the legal story unfolds, the architecture is becoming iconic. Designer Stanley Meston creates the parabolic arch building specifically for franchising, visible from the road, recognizable from a car moving at 40 miles per hour. The arches are refined, become the M logo. By the early 1960s, more people around the world can identify the McDonald's golden arches than can identify the Christian cross. That statistic is real. What you do with it is up to you. By 1963, McDonald's is selling 1 million hamburgers per day. 1 million. From a system designed in 1948 to serve the workers in one San Bernardino parking lot. Kroc marks the milestone by personally working the grill at the Des Plaines location for 1 shift. He later says it was the proudest day of his professional life. Richard McDonald is not mentioned in the press release. 1968, McDonald's introduces the Big Mac. Here is a detail the commercials never mention. The Big Mac was not invented by Ray Kroc. It was not invented by the McDonald brothers. It was invented by a franchise operator named Jim Delegati, who ran McDonald's locations in Uniontown, Pennsylvania. He proposed it to corporate for 2 years before they agreed to let him test it. It became the most famous sandwich in American food history. 1979, McDonald's introduces the Happy Meal, a child-scaled portion, a small toy premium, a character connection. This is the invention of modern childhood fast food marketing. The combination of a collectible toy and a recognizable mascot creates a direct marketing channel to children that bypasses parental decision-making in a way that had never been systematically attempted before. Public health researchers would spend the next 40 years studying the consequences. McDonald's goes public in 1965. The stock offering makes Ray Kroc a very wealthy man, and eventually worth approximately $600 million at his death in 1984. The McDonald brothers' shares in the company? None. They sold everything in 1961. They watched the IPO from their comfortable California homes with no financial stake in any of it. Richard McDonald tells an interviewer simply,
"We were happy with what we had."
Now I need to show you 4 things that trace directly back to the speedy service system. 4 consequences that nobody in San Bernardino in 1948 was thinking about. Because this is the part of the story that stops being about 2 brothers and a milkshake machine salesman, and starts being about your food, your landscape, your agriculture, and your brain. Consequence 1: American agriculture. McDonald's standardization of the beef patty, consistent size, consistent fat content, consistent flavor, requires a consistent supply. To achieve that at scale, the American beef industry consolidates. Today, 4 companies control over 80% of American beef processing. Small regional slaughterhouses are largely gone. McDonald's purchasing power and standardization requirements are among the primary drivers. Consequence 2: the potato. McDonald's French fries standardization around the russet Burbank potato, chosen for its specific starch content and frying characteristics, so dramatically increases demand for this one variety that it restructures the entire American potato farming industry. Idaho potato farmers grow russet Burbanks almost exclusively. The monoculture of the American fry is the monoculture of the American potato farm. Consequence 3: childhood marketing. Before the Happy Meal in 1979, no major food company had systematically targeted children under 8 as primary purchasing influencers. The Happy Meal changed that, and every food company, toy company, and entertainment brand learned from it. The direct-to-child marketing model that now operates across every platform, including the apps your children use, traces a direct line back to a cardboard box with a toy inside it. Consequence 4. The American highway landscape. McDonald's expansion tracks almost perfectly with the interstate highway system through the 1960s and 70s. The franchise strategy targets interstate exits, suburban arterials, high-traffic corridors. The result? The McDonald's building becomes a fixed landmark of American travel. The golden arches visible from the interstate are, for millions of Americans, as fundamental a part of the landscape as anything natural. Here is the visual evidence. This is a map of the U.S. interstate highway system, overlaid with McDonald's restaurant locations. The two maps are nearly identical. The restaurant didn't follow the road. The road and the restaurant grew together, each one feeding the other. The car made the McDonald's possible. McDonald's made the car journey possible. They co-evolved, each one making the other more viable. And now, the consequence that is most personal, most invisible, and most permanent. Consumer behavior research shows something striking. People who regularly consume fast food report measurably higher levels of impatience in non-food contexts, traffic, checkout lines, loading screens, than infrequent fast food consumers. The speedy service system didn't just change how food was made, it contributed to changing how your brain processes waiting. And here is where the 50-second window of 1948 connects to the 2-second loading screen of 2024. The neurological impatience that fast food service helped create, the expectation of immediate gratification once established, is the same impatience that social media platforms, streaming services, and app designers are now engineering against. We live in a world of engineered immediacy. The speedy service system was one of the first machines that trained us to expect it. After the 1961 buyout, Richard and Maurice McDonald disappear almost entirely from the McDonald's story. Maurice dies in 1971, largely unknown. Richard lives until 1998, 89 years old. He watches McDonald's grow from 200 to 25,000 locations during his lifetime. He watches Kroc become a legend. He gives rare interviews. He is not embittered. He is something more complicated than bitter. In one of his last interviews, Richard McDonald is asked about the buyout, about the royalty clause, about what might have been. He pauses, and then he says, "We were happy. We had what we needed. We weren't greedy." Maybe that was our mistake. Maybe. Or maybe it was the most human thing about the entire story. Richard McDonald was asked, late in his life, whether he ever went into a McDonald's. He said he hadn't been inside one in 40 years. Not out of bitterness, he clarified that, just because there was no need. He knew exactly what was in there. He designed it. He knew every square foot of it. He knew every item on the menu. He knew the fold of the wrapper. He built all of it before he was 40 years old. The speedy service system that Richard McDonald designed on a tennis court in 1948 is still running, in 40,000 locations, serving the same essential menu logic, limited, standardized, assembly line, that he and Maurice settled on in that San Bernardino kitchen 76 years ago. Kroc is dead. The brothers are dead. The system is immortal. The most successful organisms in evolution are the ones that outlive their creators. Here is the thesis that runs through every story in this series. The diner, the neon sign, the shopping mall, the fast food restaurant. Every time, a person sees a problem, invents a solution, and the solution works so completely, so perfectly, that it escapes the person who had it. The idea becomes bigger than the intention. The system outlives the designer. The invention becomes the world. But here is what I keep coming back to with Richard McDonald specifically. He built the most operationally influential food service system in history, and he died comfortable, not wealthy. He died knowing exactly what he had done. He didn't need the validation. He didn't need the empire. He built a better burger stand. He succeeded. The fact that the success escaped him, that's the story, not the failure. Richard McDonald didn't build a monument to himself. He built a system, and the system built the monument without him. That is both the tragedy and the triumph of his story, and it is, in ways large and small, the story of almost every invention that ever changed how people live. The idea doesn't stay with the person who had it. The idea goes where it needs to go, and the world is different after. The machine Richard McDonald built in a tennis court parking lot with paper cutouts in 1948 is still running. He was trying to run a better burger stand. He succeeded so completely that the success became everything. The system worked perfectly. The system became the world. And Richard McDonald, the man whose name is on all of it, died in a small house in New Hampshire, comfortable and content and unknown. If the McDonald brothers' story had a quiet tragedy, next week's story has a different kind entirely. The origin of the American motel. One night in 1925, one innkeeper in California who coined the word that defined roadside America and the specific room layout, repeated across 10,000 locations, that changed how Americans think about freedom, privacy, and the open road. Subscribe. I'll see you there.